Hello everyone, now we will continue following the story of One Piece. In the last episode, Luffy's crew arrived in Logtown to buy supplies and more food before they set off for the Grand Line. In this episode, we start with Sanji, who has now reached the fish market. As a chef, nothing attracts Sanji more than ingredients for cooking. At that moment, someone caught a rare type of elephant tuna and brought it there. And as soon as he saw the fish, Sanji immediately asked to buy it. But the seller wouldn't sell it because they were keeping it as the grand prize for a cooking competition starting this evening. Coincidentally, cooking is also Sanji's specialty, so he joined the competition. Before the competition started, Usopp and Nami also arrived there, and Usopp shouted to Sanji from a distance. At that moment, Sanji was very happy to see Nami there to cheer him on. And later, Sanji noticed Usopp behind her. "Where did you come from, bro? Hey, you pretended not to see me, you jerk. I just called you." The events of the cooking competition weren't very interesting. We just need to know that Sanji was the winner. After that, they carried the grand prize, the elephant tuna, back to the ship. And on the way, Nami could tell a storm was coming, so they had to hurry. Turning to Luffy and Zoro, as they were walking casually, a gust of wind blew Luffy's hat far away. And then Luffy ran to get his hat back, all the way to Gall D, Roger's execution platform. Finally, Luffy climbed onto the execution platform and saw the same view that Gall D, Roger saw before he died. But not long after, a marine officer saw him and shouted through a megaphone, threatening him to get down immediately. "Why the threats? When you ask someone to do something, you should speak nicely." Then, suddenly, that marine officer was knocked unconscious by a beautiful woman with a spiked club. That beautiful woman knew Luffy very well, and she said that Luffy had wronged her before. "Hey, did you mistake me for someone else, lady?" Actually, it wasn't a mistake. That beautiful woman is Alvida, who used to be fat and was sent flying far away by a punch to the stomach from Luffy. The reason she is now slim and beautiful is because she ate a special fruit called the smooth fruit. That fruit not only made her beautiful, but it also made her body slippery, so nothing can touch her. And now, she has teamed up with Buggy's crew to get revenge on Luffy. As soon as Buggy arrived, the people were scared of him and ran away in panic. At that same time, one of Buggy's underlings named Kabaji sneaked up and trapped Luffy in the stocks. At the same time, news that pirate crews had gathered at the execution platform reached Captain Smoker, and he ordered all the marines to surround them by land and sea, making sure they couldn't escape. As for Luffy's crew, they also found out, and Zoro and Sanji rushed to help Luffy. Speaking of Luffy, Buggy was now preparing to execute him, and Captain Smoker was watching from a distance, not yet intervening. He let the pirate crews fight it out first, then he would step in to clean up afterwards, so as not to waste effort. Then Zoro and Sanji arrived, making Luffy very happy, and he shouted their names. Hearing that, Tashigi realized that the person she met this morning was actually Zoro. At that moment, Zoro and Sanji rushed in to help Luffy, but it seemed they were too late. But even so, Luffy was still smiling. This surprised Captain Smoker, thinking that Luffy was just like Gall D, Roger. The next event was truly unbelievable. At that moment, lightning struck Buggy, saving Luffy from death. Then, Captain Smoker ordered his marines to move in and capture them. And they couldn't stay any longer. Luffy's crew fought their way out of there, heading for their ship. As for Buggy and Alvida's crews, they were all captured by Captain Smoker. Captain Smoker had also eaten a special fruit called the Plume fruit. The Plume fruit allows Captain Smoker to turn his body into smoke. Then, it cuts to another of Buggy's underlings named Moji and his lion, Richie. Moji was trying to use a match to burn Luffy's boat, but coincidentally it was raining heavily, so the match would light and immediately go out. As for the lion Richie, he was also very hungry and didn't feel like working. Next, Nami and Usopp arrived, and Moji ordered his lion Richie to deal with them. Then Usopp pulled out an egg to shoot the lion Richie, but because the rain made his hand slip, the egg fell to the ground. Coincidentally, the lion Richie was very hungry, so he decided to eat first and work later. A little later, a small group of marines arrived there and opened fire on them. At the same time, Luffy, Sanji, and Zoro were also running out of town. At that moment, Tashigi blocked their path, and she was very angry at Zoro for lying to her. But Zoro argued that he didn't lie. She just never asked for his name. However, Tashigi wouldn't let Zoro get away, and they clashed swords. At that point, Sanji, who always sides with women, warned Zoro that if he dared to harm her, he would have to deal with him. In the fight between Tashigi and Zoro at that time, Zoro was the winner. But Zoro didn't harm Tashigi, which made Tashigi even angrier at him. Then she asked Zoro if he spared her because she was a woman. And that frustration about being a woman is just like you and us. Let's follow Luffy and Sanji. After running for a while, they suddenly ran into Captain Smoker. At that moment, Captain Smoker used the same language, telling Luffy that if he wanted to enter the Grand Line, he had to get past him first. At this point, Luffy had no choice. He let Sanji go ahead, leaving him to face Captain Smoker alone. Let's go back to Nami and Usopp for a bit. They have now boarded the ship, and the marines are firing at their ship. Luckily, there were big waves that helped push the boat away from the cannonballs. Then, unable to stay there any longer, Nami sailed the boat a bit further away so the Marines couldn't hit. At that moment, Sanji also arrived, but he was surrounded by many Marines. Seeing this, Usopp jumped into the water to help protect Sanji by shooting. Now, we return to the fight between Luffy and Captain Smoker. From the beginning, we have never seen Luffy lose a fight. But this time, Luffy tried his best but couldn't do anything to Captain Smoker because when Luffy hit him, it was like hitting smoke. At that moment, Captain Smoker grabbed Luffy, pushed his head down, and buried his face in the ground. And just as he was about to draw his chit to finish Luffy off, a mysterious man suddenly grabbed his hand. Furthermore, at the same time, a huge storm suddenly swept through the city, sending both people and things flying. And among them, Buggy's crew also escaped. When the storm subsided, coincidentally, Luffy's crew was blown together by the wind. By then, Nami had sailed the boat quite a distance away. To get on the boat, Luffy stretched himself like a slingshot and launched all his crewmates onto the ship. After Luffy's crew had left, Captain Smoker called the mysterious man who helped Luffy Dragon. His full name is Monkey D. Dragon, who is Luffy's biological father. Since birth, Luffy has never known who his father is because he has lived with his grandfather since he was young. A few days later, Luffy's crew traveled to Reverse Mountain, which is the entrance to the Grand Line. There, they saw a mountain so high it reached the clouds, and the water currents in that area were so strong they could push their ship up the mountain. After reaching the top, their ship had to go down the other side to enter the Grand Line. As they neared the bottom, they saw a giant whale right in front of them, and a moment later, the whale suddenly opened its mouth and swallowed their ship. At that moment, Luffy couldn't hold on and fell from his ship, separated from his crew. As for their ship, it drifted to a house. It was very strange that there were people living inside the whale's stomach. At that moment, a giant squid appeared, wanting to attack their ship, but the squid was immediately killed by the person inside the house. The one who shot it was an old man named Crocus. At first, Usopp wanted to use the cannon to threaten him because Mr. Crocus looked too fierce. And Mr. Crocus joked dryly, "Go ahead and shoot, see if I die." Then Mr. Crocus told them not to worry. There was a way out from inside the whale's stomach. A little later, there was a huge tremor caused by the whale hitting its head against the red line. At that moment, Mr. Crocus rushed to a room to give the whale a tranquilizer. At the same time, the tremor caused Luffy and two other people to fall into the water. It's unclear where they fell from. After pulling them back onto the ship, those two people suddenly pulled out cannons, wanting to kill the whale from the inside, but Mr. Crocus jumped in front to shield it. Seeing this, Luffy felt that those two were bad people and knocked them out. Afterward, Mr. Crocus told Luffy's crew that of the two, the woman was named Miss Wednesday and the man was Mr. Nine. They wanted to kill the whale to get meat to feed their townspeople, which would last for at least 2 to 3 years. As for him, he was the whale's protector. He called the whale Laboon. Mr. Crocus told the whale's story. Over 50 years ago, he was a lighthouse keeper nearby. He saw a pirate crew from the West Blue, and Laboon, who was just a baby back then, followed their ship. Normally, whales are animals that live with their families in pods. So, the reason it followed the pirate crew is because it considered them its family. That pirate crew were good people, and Mr. Crocus also befriended them. One day, as they were preparing to sail to the Grand Line, the pirate captain asked Mr. Crocus to look after Laboon for 2 to 3 years, promising he would return. A Laboon has waited for them for 50 years, and they have not returned. After they sailed the boat out of the whale's stomach, Mr. Crocus said he heard that the pirate crew had broken up and would not be returning for Laboon. He had told Laboon this story a long time ago, but Laboon couldn't accept it. That's why whenever it gets stressed, it hits its head against the red line, thinking the cliff is a barrier preventing the pirates from returning to it. At that moment, Luffy, for some unknown reason, went and attacked Laboon, making it angry, and it fought back. During that fight, Luffy told Laboon that they were even, and that he had to go to the Grand Line for now. When he returned, they would fight again to determine a winner. And as a promise, Luffy painted his logo on Laboon's head. He told Laboon not to hit its head against the cliff anymore, or it would erase his logo. Speaking of Miss Wednesday and Mr. Nine, while Luffy's crew was busy with Laboon, they tried to escape. But at that moment, Mr. Nine dropped something important called a log pose. He dropped the device on the boat, and Luffy picked it up. Then, they suddenly heard Nami scream because her compass was spinning wildly and couldn't point in any direction. At that point, Mr. Crocus told her that her compass wasn't broken, it just didn't work in the Grand Line. He explained that in the Grand Line, each island has its own magnetic field, like a magnet. To travel from one island to another, they need a special device called a log pose. Coincidentally, Luffy had just picked up a log pose and he gave it to Nami. While they were busy talking, Luffy was just eating the elephant tuna that Sanji had cooked. Mr. Crocus continued that in the Grand Line, there are many starting points, but their final destination is an island called Laugh Tale. And besides the Pirate King, Goldie, Roger, no other pirate crew has ever reached that island. As soon as Mr. Crocus finished speaking, Luffy had eaten all the elephant tuna, leaving none for anyone else because it was too delicious. At that moment, Sanji was so angry with Luffy that he kicked him, sending him flying into Nami's log pose, shattering it. When Nami got angry, she kicked both Luffy and Sanji into the water. Mr. Crocus told Nami not to worry. He would give her his log pose. Then Laboon helped them get out of the water, including Miss Wednesday and Mr. Nine. At that point, Miss Wednesday and Mr. Nine begged Luffy's crew to take them home to a town called Whiskey Peak, and Mr. Crocus warned Luffy's crew not to trust those two because they were very tricky. But at that moment, Luffy didn't think much of it and agreed to help them. So the next destination is the town of Whiskey Peak in the Grand Line. For this story, I'll stop here for now. Thank you all for following this story with me. If you think this story is good, please don't forget to hit like and leave a comment. At the same time, for those who hadn't subscribed to the Mono Koronai channel, please subscribe and click the bell icon and select all. Thank you again, and I wish you good health and a prosperous future.